Hey, Drew from GameChurch.com. I'm here with Ben Esposito. He is the creative director, designer of Donut County. What do you call yourself?
I'm the guy because I do it all.
Yeah.
I do it by myself.
You are Donut County.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so you've been involved with several game projects, made several games. Tell us some other games you've made in the past.
So before this, I was a designer on What Remains of Edith Finch and The Unfinished Swan by the same company. And then I've done a bunch of other random internet games. Did a Sonic fan game called Sonic Dreams Collection, which was really, really wild.
That's cool.
Yeah, a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, cool. And so tell us a little bit about Donut County, what makes it unique?
So Donut County is a game where you play as a hole in the ground. That's that's the premise.
Yeah.
And it's
the only game I can think of where you play as a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea, but I really like it.
Yeah.
Like people don't really know what to think when they hear that, but when you see it, it's pretty straightforward. Like you start, I mean, the main mechanic is you start quite small, and every time you put something in the hole, it gets a little bit bigger.
Right.
So the kind of inevitable goal is to just clear out everything.
Suck everything into that bad boy.
Right, yeah. Which is
incredibly satisfying.
That's the thing is maybe on paper it's not the most interesting idea, but once I had it in front of me and I was playing around with it, I was like, whoa, there's something really human about like cleaning up and organizing and like turning chaos into order. But there's like a bittersweetness to like at the end of every level, it's just silent and everything's gone.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really like interesting.
Yeah, sort of you force the player a little bit to come to terms with like, yeah, that was really fun and satisfying, but I just like sucked everything in this little town. Little creatures, little living beings into a hole.
Right, like that core tension is, that's kind of what the game's all about.
Yeah. And I remember talking to you before, and you said there's an element here about gentrification and... There's
like kind of a light parallel. It takes place in LA, like everything is kind of modeled off a different area of LA. And while there's like a theme there, it's a pretty light theme because I was trying to tell the story through the gentrification of donut shops in a way, because LA was kind of like a bastion of like the mom and pop donut shop. Each one with kind of like their own cultural take on donuts, like donuts and Chinese food, Korean food. And so I thought that was really interesting because where I grew up in New York, it was just Dunkin' Donuts. That's end of story. So like it was kind of eye-opening to be like, whoa, there's a lot more to this. But also there's the Dunkin' Donuts is coming back and like the chain, coffee shop and donut stuff. It's kind of inevitable that's going to take over. So I kind of wanted to like kind of theme the whole game around that inevitability and like making you complicit in that and kind of feeling the clash of perspectives between the community and being the one who's kind of profiting or having fun off of doing it.
Profiting off of the gentrification and growth. Yeah, where I live, all the donut shops, well, we do have Dunkin' Donuts and stuff too, but it's all the hipster donut places. That's what we have. But
I see.
There's a whole nother type of gentrification, but
there's a lot of levels to it, and like I can't really say the game is about gentrification in that way because gentrification is really complicated. It's like a real systemic kind of problem. So my game is just it has light touches. I mean, I want to just have different perspectives on it.
One question I like to ask is, you could have made a million different games. Why make Donut County?
Why make Donut County? I have to circle back to like, it was a joke originally. Having a hole in the ground was a total joke. I was like, I'm gonna spend 2 days on it, it'll be funny. Like, we'll just see, it's funny to put a fox in a hole. And once I did that and I kind of had the mechanic of growing, like I said before, there's a human element that felt kind of beyond what the like mechanics in front of me were. Like the act of cleaning up and like kind of seeing people's reaction to like this ebb and flow of chaos and order. It absolutely like felt like there was something there, and the whole game kind of came out of that feeling. And so the thing I the reason why I stuck with it is because of all the questions that came up after I put the hole in the ground, right?
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'm a hole in the ground, but a hole isn't anything. A hole is like the absence of something. So what is this game about?
Yeah.
And I kind of realized like, oh, this game is actually about what you put in the hole.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this is actually about a place. Like this is a place, and so that's why it's called Donut County. It's a place and all the people who live there, and like then I was like, oh, it has to be about the effects of the hole on people's lives.
Yeah.
And once I kind of got to that point, I was like, oh, this is really there's something in here.
Yeah, that's cool. So if you had to narrow down to one thing, what do you hope players gain from their experience with playing as a whole?
As a hole in the ground?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, on one hand, there is kind of like a satisfying, like kind of like unconscious, what's the word? There's kind of an unconscious desire to like order things, put them together, clean up a space, like get rid of everything. But what I kind of want people to take away from it is like, oh, in the process of, kind of following this inevitable action of, destroying everything, what's the impact on everyone's lives? Like, the game is about a community ultimately, and I put you in the position of this kind of, it takes place around this raccoon named DK who works for a startup that's opening up the holes. And kind of the central gimmick of the game is that he doesn't understand why it's wrong to throw everyone in the hole and take all their stuff. So he kind of like plays the victim the whole time of like, why are you guys attacking me? I was just doing my job. And I kind of want people to feel that tension of like, oh, there's someone who can be defending an indefensible point. And like to kind of see that play out and kind of understand like, oh, okay, someone's perspective can just be completely bogus in a way, or like you can think it's really bogus until you kind of understand where they come from, and you're like, oh, well, you're wrong, but I actually understand why you got to that point. And like that dialogue's cool to me.
It makes me think of like Disney World or a cruise ship, right? You know what I mean? Like
that's really funny.
We go to those places and we love them, and it's so luxurious and nice to like step into Disney World because it's so everything's immaculate, I
mean, I love that.
I do too. I love it. But at the same time, you don't realize like what's the human cost of that,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I like that tension. That's really unique.
Right, and it's like what went into this, what's behind this, and also like because it's a designed place, like what were the assumptions that were built into it that I'm not even aware of. So I find that stuff really interesting.
That's awesome. Last question. Why make video games? And not just why make video games, but maybe defend why video games are important, I mean, to somebody who would say, oh, that sounds fun and all, but isn't it kind of a waste of time to take play as a hole in the ground? Why make a game like that? What is someone missing out if they don't?
I see. I mean, I think people get different things out of different games. Like, I think it's totally fine to play a game that doesn't have kind of a higher purpose or like a lesson, an ultimate lesson to it, because I think games can function as like games can be healing in a way. Like it can put you in kind of a place where you can process information. Like I think that stuff's really valuable. My game is not really like that. Like yes, you can zone out, but it is ultimately about like the story of a place. And my kind of higher purpose of the whole thing is like I want to implicate you in this situation in a way that a book can't do. Like I want to put you in the position where it's like, yeah, I love putting things in a hole. This is awesome. But then also having to deal with the consequences of people being like, you're a fool. Like, what are you doing? You're like, see my home all splayed out in front of you. So like, I feel like there's like a process of embodiment in certain games, and like that's kind of what my game is all about. Is like, okay, I'm a hole. What the heck does that mean? Like. Who am I really playing as? Because there's a layer of remove where like, oh, I'm a raccoon who is an alien in this place, and like you have this kind of like conflict of perspectives, and I think the game like allows you to be immersed in it and to kind of feel like, oh, I totally get why this person is doing it because I love to do it, and it never like shames you for ruining everyone's lives.
Right.
But it kind of puts you in between these two, like, kind of conflicting
Yeah, you're
perspectives.
thinking about it.
Right.
You're realizing your input into the world you're living in.
Right,
in
exactly.
a significant way.
Especially because like it's kind of about these conflicts that are systemic, and so like I want you to feel the system play out. I want you to be the one to like move the cog to be like, oh, okay, I can kind of understand like this indefensible point. I've been thrust onto it, and I kind of love throwing it in the hole.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, Donut County looks fantastic. I am about to play some new content of it. Can't wait to check it out. So be sure to look for that sometime next year. We don't know exactly when, right?
Yeah, probably early 2018.
Okay, cool. And that's it for us here at PAX West. Thanks.